From the dawn of time, sim racers have tried to make their sim racing experience as immersive and realistic as possible. And as technology has moved forward, we have a fantastic range of direct drive wheels available and even home full motion simulators. But as we know, full motion simulators are still hilariously expensive. But what if I told you there was a way to increase your immersion significantly without breaking the bank?
Say hello to the Next Level Racing HF8. Now the HF8 is a new exciting product from the Aussies down under, and it promises to turn your gaming immersion to 11. It's a haptic feedback device that fits to literally any seat you can imagine and provides immersive vibration feedback through 8 individual powerful motors. Now the HF8 takes its feedback information straight from the in-game telemetry or from your audio, meaning this isn't just limited to PC, but can also be used with console, but can also be used when listening to music and watching films.
Now the HF8 fits really nicely over my Next Level Racing GT track and will probably fit really well with similar rigs. But as I said and as I demonstrated, it can literally fit on any seat. Now this isn't completely low profile because obviously it's got 8 motors in it, which means that there needs to be some space for them. Now, when you sit on it, the finish is perforated leather and it feels really comfortable, but you will notice that you are sitting slightly higher and slightly more forward because of the motors. Now, you don't feel it, it's not uncomfortable, but it just feels different to what you're used to. But as I've demonstrated earlier, you can obviously use it with pretty much anything. Now the HF8 has got a useful control that's literally just a hand, which you can turn it on and off with, change the mode from USB to audio mode, and also dial up or down the intensity of the vibration. Now let's switch it on, let's look at the software, and then let's go for a drive.
But before we do that, if you want to win a HF8 of your own, please enter the competition at the Gleam.io link in the description below to win your own Next Level Racing HF8. Now to the software. When using the HF8 on a computer, you'll be using Next Level Racing's own software called HFS. This enables you to fine-tune the haptic feedback you get from the in-game telemetry. The software allows you to do things such as turning up or down the intensity of vibration feedback, as well as letting you completely customize your experience depending on what kind of feedback you want. Next Level Racing are constantly updating the app to support a wide range of games, and at the moment of testing, the HF8 supports a large number of major titles with more to be added later.
Okay, here we go, and we are at Rudskogen Motor Center in Norway in iRacing in a Toyota GR86. And immediately, the first thing you feel is the vibration in the back telling you that there is an engine on and that you are in a race car. This HF8 is called so because it's got 8 haptic feedback motors in the seat, 4 in the bottom and 4 in the back. And the way you set this up essentially will dictate the kind of haptic feedback and vibration that you get. In iRacing it's good because there are a lot of parameters that you can use. In some of the other titles there aren't as many, but actually the ones that you need, the essentials, are there. Now my favorite force feedback or haptic feedback that you get when you use this is ground effect and suspension. And in iRacing, they're 2 separate things. Now, ground effect essentially is what your tires are doing with the road. So scrubbing, understeering, oversteering, that kind of stuff you'll feel in the ground effect. And the suspension is the decompression and compression of the suspension. So if you go over a pebble, you'll feel it. Now, the interesting thing about this compared to other haptic feedback devices is that this is not bolted to the rig. Oh no, this is bolted to your skin essentially, which means that the force feedback or haptic feedback that you're getting is quite powerful. And quite often I've had to turn it down a little bit because otherwise I think I may end up having lack of sensation in my legs and or bottom. But you know, less about my bottom, more about the HF8. Now, I think it's actually helpful knowing what the wheels are doing when you have that haptic feedback over the legs. And the cool thing about this is that you can set it to be different on the left and the right, meaning that you can tell whether your front right wheel is over a curb compared to your right rear wheel. Got there in the end. Which is really cool and actually just adds to the immersion and the realism. And honestly, I actually have played with this for a few weeks now, and I'm telling you, this is a game changer. Now, I tried to turn it off just to see what it was like without it, and honestly, it's just not the same. I think this is probably the best you can get in terms of having all around immersion and having that kind of feedback from the game you're playing.
Now for probably the most important part, the price. The HF8 costs $229 and compared to what's on the market at the moment, I think that's a good price, especially when you consider the level of immersion you can get. For me, the pros of the HF8 are that because the device is in contact with your body, you get a higher sense of immersion. Now I live in a first floor apartment and a haptic feedback device hard mounted to my rig would simply annoy everyone downstairs. With the HF8, I get minimal vibration through the floor. I really like the ease of use, and as demonstrated, the HF8 is a versatile device that can be used with consoles as well as PC, but literally on any seat that you're sitting on. Now on console, you are limited to audio only haptic feedback, which would be less detailed, but still adds a layer of immersion. Now the cons of the HF8 in my opinion are the fact that it does change the profile of the chair you attach it to and requires a little bit of playing around to get the software just right. But once you've got it in that sweet spot, it's genuinely hard to imagine playing without it. Now, if you enjoyed this video guys, please feel free to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Cheers.